and gentlemen, let's go. Lifestyle, wellness, and a damn good time. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go. Hit it. You're listening to the Holistic Life Podcast, presented by Say What Radio.
Welcome to the Holistic Life Podcast. He said go, so I just had to go. So I'm Jenny.
I'm Jay.
And we are so glad you're here. And today is a very, very special day. Like every day is special. Let me just say that. But today is extra special because we have one of the coolest people. I don't know if you want to be called a cat, but I was called peas and carrots apparently. So the coolest cat around. Oh, anyways. So today we're going to talk about some really cool shit, right?
Yeah.
We're going to talk about like burnout, and we're going to talk about phones and tech and
But
all
before
this
that,
stuff.
I want to go back to why
Okay,
our
go
guest
back.
today is so cool. Like, it's interesting. He found us from the podcast, and like he reached out and he was like, yo, I think this would be a good idea for the show. And me, honestly, I'm skeptical. And I was like, okay, does he want us to sell something? Like, what's good? What's going on? Because usually when people reach out, it's kind of weird. But, intuition, gut was like, go with it and see what happens. So this individual, which we will introduce shortly, we talked, and what should have been like an hour conversation turned into almost 3 hours, which goes to show we vibed, and he's definitely a good friend. So whenever we travel, we're definitely going to go visit. And whenever he comes to Florida, he definitely has to hang out. And what we're doing, what he's doing, they're different, but they sync up. It's crazy how similar what we're doing is, but in different areas and being delivered in a different vehicle in a different form.
So all the way from the other side of the world compared to where we're at right now, but honestly, it could be your next door neighbor. Our guest is Johan Versteegh. He says that was music to his ears. I think I killed it. But let me tell you a couple of things. So he is a phone and social media addiction expert. And the thing is he focuses on helping people to be able to become a better version of themselves by using screens mindfully and helping you understand the detrimental effects that screens can have on us. And especially since March, I can only imagine how screen usage has gone through the roof in these months of us in the pandemic. So without further ado, let's welcome Johan to the show.
Yes. Thank you, Jenny and Jay, for having me. I appreciate it enormously, really. Thanks. Thank you. I love the introduction, though. Yes. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, something fun, something exciting, and then of course, wrap in a little bit about what you do too.
Yeah, well, something exciting. Well, now with this pandemic, sometimes it's hard, you think, to be excited, but there's so many things we can do still. We can even see this pandemic as an opportunity. So I think it's still possible to lead an exciting life, doing exciting things, even if those activities are indoors. So I'm now actually into board gaming a lot.
Oh, wow.
I even play board games by myself, like solo games even. I've never done it before. But I thought, who plays board games by themselves? But at the end of the day, it's like video gaming.
Right.
You play video games by yourself. And then I thought, yeah, they're right. Why can't I play board games by myself? So now I'm doing that sometimes, and I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
So the social media addiction expert that we have on here today said he's playing games by himself in person with board games, not even on the phone. I play a lot of games with myself on the phone, right? I think that right there is an aha moment. Talk a little bit about that, because I didn't even know there were single person board games besides solitaire, which is a card game.
I was like, I'm going to need to hear some single playing board games. What are some of those?
Yeah, and how do you do it? Because the phone is so easy to pop into that game on your phone. And I know it's not social media, but still your phone is still screen time.
No, true. But these board games, are not played on my phone. So
that's crazy.
Yeah. So the thing is, I want to do something that's not connected to screens. And board game is the perfect activity. That's why it's actually the number one activity that I recommend. When it comes to finding something that pulls you away from your phone, then board gaming is it. Because when you immerse yourself in a board game, you just forget about your phone. You don't even know how to spell smartphone. You don't even know about Facebook. Oblivious to the whole world of Facebook, social media, phone, the digital world. You're so immersed in that experience. And it doesn't need to be an experience that you experience by yourself, but it could be with friends and family members. And that's why it's so beautiful. And yes, I thought, well, solo mode? Since when does a board game have solo mode? But yeah, in the beginning, it was so weird when I was playing against this AI. Not even this computerized enemy, right, that you play when you play PlayStation or Xbox. It's so well made that you're on this mission and you're doing it by yourself. And then the rewards that come from that when you finish the game after 2 hours. Yesterday, I played the game that lasted 2 hours. And I was done. I was like, wow. And the beautiful thing is, I completely forgot about my phone. And I know I don't think about tech or whatever. And it's an activity that doesn't involve screens. I think that's hard now to find an activity that is not connected to screens. There are board games that use tablets, though, that have apps, but not many of them. But the majority of board games, it's all about moving around, taking pieces, thinking critically, and you have to move, you have to focus. And it's just, there's so many upsides to gaming, like relating to cognition, communication. You have to make critical decisions. You don't have much time. You have to collaborate because there are co-op games. Never heard of that before. Years earlier, like co-op games. So you're both on the same team playing against this invisible AI. And I thought like board games just you against me, and that's it, like chess. But no, there's like a lot of co-op games, and it's trust me, it's a world that has not been explored by many, apparently. And I noticed a lot of people that think, well, board games, well, Clue, there is chess, there is Monopoly, there's Yahtzee, Stratego, Battleship, all these classic board games, but there's so much more to it.
Okay, so I'm on the edge of my seat. So what are these, or where the heck do you find them? What are some of the names, or?
Yeah, there is a website. Do you know IMDb.com?
Uh-huh.
So there's a website that's the equivalent of IMDb, but for board games. It's called BoardGameGeek.com.
Of course.
So every single board game is on the website. And of course, like IMDb, there's this top 1,000, top 100, best family games, best war games, best horror games.
Wow.
So I did a lot of research, and I just became almost addicted to this whole new hobby. And I can call myself a modern board gamer, because apparently that's how you call yourself.
Right.
A modern board gamer.
Oh, I love that.
I'm definitely
so
checking out that
fantastic.
site.
I know, because, it's interesting that you talk about that, because early on in the pandemic, when we were at home and there was a lot more uncertainty going on. I mean, there's still uncertainty, but there's always going to be uncertainty in the world. But early on, right, when it was like, whoa, what is going on? We actually were like, what are we going to do? So we went and bought board games, but we bought, I guess, the old school board games. We weren't modern board gamers. We bought Clue. We bought
the college version of Guess Who.
The college version of Guess Who.
Guess Who.
And is that it? Just those two?
Yeah, just those two.
And then we played those a couple of times or whatever, and it was cool, but I don't know.
You see?
It was nice.
Everyone mentions. Yeah, it was good, right? But
yeah, it was nice.
Maybe.
It was nice, but honestly, like, I don't know. And what you were talking about with like the more strategy and like more thinking, like college version of Guess Who, like, it's very subjective, because you're like, oh, there's like questions that prompt. It's not like the kids version where it's like, does your character have purple eyes? And then you put them all down. It's like, does your character get into trouble in high school? Was your character doing drugs? I mean, it's completely subjective, and you have to look at these people and go, I don't know, that person looks like they got in trouble, if you want to put them down or not. So it's like,
but then like who your opponent like might see the same person and be like, oh, that's a goody two shoes. They would never get in trouble.
Right.
So it's like, oh, is this your person? Like, no. I was like, I put that person down 4 moves ago.
Yeah, it's totally different. It's totally different.
But you enjoyed. It was good.
It was definitely cool. But I like the idea of, because sometimes all you know is the traditional stuff, and you don't know about this awesome website that tells you all these freaking board games. Like, especially for the people who feel the need to stay home. Sometimes you get stir crazy with things you could do. It's like, okay, I rearranged my house 999,432 times. Like, what else can I do now? But there's like these things besides watching TV, besides seeing who triggers you on social media right now. These games, these mindless games on your tablets, there's so much other stuff out there. And I definitely want to get into the screen addiction thing, because when we talked like last month, it's kind of like mind blowing, and like why you started it too, like the story. I don't know if you want to share. You can totally share another story if you want, but like why this particular situation happened, and it made you be like, "Oh, I need to step back from this. This is becoming, I don't want to say dangerous, but unhealthy in a sense."
Yeah, because I disconnected myself a long time ago, like back in 2014. So, but that was different because I actually had the very first smartphone that had the very first Android version. So it was a novelty, the smartphone and Android. And that was 2 years after the iPhone came out, the very first smartphone.
So you were the coolest kid on the block.
Exactly, I was. So I had to show off. I had to show up everywhere I was, in the bus, in college. So I was using it a lot. And I was already on Facebook because that really started in Europe around 2007.
Wow.
It started to become very popular. And so I started to use Facebook for the first time in 2007. And then I started to use it a lot because it was a novelty, and suddenly we didn't need to text each other anymore or sending emails. Now we could just communicate through this platform called Facebook. And then most of us were just posting messages about ourselves, private messages just on our wall for everyone to see. And it was obvious that we didn't really know how to use this platform. Even I, sometimes, if I remember the post that I posted back in 2007, I'm like, yeah, I cringe, like I don't even want to. It's just, no secrecy,
right.
No mystery. No, I was too open, too honest. And so that was not good. But I thought, okay, no, it's fine. It's Facebook. It's a novelty. It's new. I see that it's becoming more popular. We have to use it. And then I started to date, and then I had a Brazilian girlfriend. And she was mental. Like, she was on Facebook 24/7. She was like posting like 6, 7 posts a day. And then when we were a couple, the majority of the posts were all about us, me, us. And of course, she also wanted something in return. She had expectations of like, yeah, Johan, you better post about us as well, because, our friends need to know that we're happy, right? And they need to know that we're in love. And it was fine. And I enjoyed. I was like, yeah, okay, here's a Celine Dion song. Here's a Barry White song. Here's a poem that I Googled. Here's this beautiful photo
Googled
a few years ago. And, she loved it. She's like, yeah. And then all the comments came in. The likes didn't exist back then.
Right.
But in that phase, it started to become popular as well. But people commented a lot, and that's what we liked. Even I was like, yeah. So, well, Johan, you're happy, right? So, yeah, it's fantastic. But I felt that I was losing myself because I was just thinking, is this normal? Like, why is this Mark Zuckerberg's invention suddenly so important? Why do we need to communicate through this platform? Because then I started to say, you know what? Let's just use Skype, have this one-to-one interaction. He said, no Skype. I mean, post. We can communicate on Facebook. There's a private message option as well there. And I, okay. And then what happened was, one day we walked on the beach, and then she was drawing this beautiful heart on the sand with Johan loves Fernanda, which was her name. And then she asked me, Johan, could you please kneel in front of the heart so I can take a photo? I said, yeah, of course. So she took a photo. And then a few hours later, the photo was online, but the text said, look what Johan made me. Look how Johan loves me so much. When I saw that, I was like, okay, so you're lying about this now. I wasn't even thinking about drawing that heart for you, actually.
Right.
Like you made. So then I realized, wow, we really take this Facebook serious. And what bothers me is why I have this motto that is, don't want to die stupid. That's my quote, that's my motto. And I like to get out of my comfort zone, that uncomfortable zone. I like it. And I always envisioned this future Johan, like a long time ago. And I know that I wanted to produce something, to make something of myself. And instead of just consuming all the time, I needed to produce, I needed to move, I needed to act. But just because I was online so much and I was posting so much, just satisfying her, then I thought to myself, no, this is not right. And then when that moment happened where she posted that photo while saying that I did it,
right?
Then no. So then I told her, look, I'm going to work on a website now. I want to produce. I don't have that much time now to be online. And then she didn't really accept that. So we were fighting more and more. And then we broke up. Of course, no one knew for the first few months. Only later on, people were like, Johan, I don't see these photos. Like, what happened? Oh, we broke up a long time ago. People were like, oh, really? Like, thank you. Like, we needed closure as well.
so happy. What happened?
Yeah, so how dare
Exactly.
you end your relationship and not fill us in on Facebook?
Exactly. How dare you? Yeah. Only post about the good things.
Right.
Like, no one is doing that.
Right.
Yeah. So that made me then decide, okay, no, enough is enough. I don't accept this. And then I started to produce more and more. And then it was just so logical to disconnect from Facebook. Then I stepped away from my personal profile for 3 years just to work on that website. And I
Wow.
use Facebook, but the fan page. So
Right.
for business purposes, that's great. But I mean, I never say stay away from Facebook. Like, you have
Right.
to be mindful. You can still use social media, but you just have to be mindful.
That's interesting because I took a Facebook sabbatical hiatus with a break detox, whatever you want to call it, a few months ago, where I noticed, like, during the height of what was going on with the pandemic, with the civil unrest in the world, with people sharing their opinions behind the keyboard, I would read some of these things and get triggered, and I'd be like, I can't do this. I can't do this because this is making or breaking my day. So I need to not be on Facebook right now, as in not delete my account, but it does not need to be easily accessible on my phone. So there was a point where I deleted the app from the phone for about 2 months maybe. And like, if I wanted to post something, I would have to go through like the mobile browser, which was a pain in the ass for me. So I just could be like, I just won't post on Facebook. And then it was like, okay, you still have to use it for business. So I ended up putting it back on the phone, but I noticed like the need, because I think that's what it is for a lot of people. People feel it's a need, like wasn't there as strong as it was before. I wasn't consumed by, oh, did someone comment on this, or has anybody replied yet? And it's just like, okay, go on, check any notifications. No, all this shit is whack. All right, move on. I'm done with Facebook. So, and it's just like, it's interesting, the access and what we're looking for on these social media platforms, because it's, Facebook, Instagram, linked, all of them, this attachment, this magnetism that the screen has on us. And it's like finding a way to detach. Not saying get rid of it totally, because yes, we live in a digital technological world. So there's a time and place for that, but not to be like 24/7. I mean, there was a time where I would pick up the phone, check Facebook, put the phone down, only to pick back up the phone to check Facebook like 2 seconds later.
Exactly.
So, Johan, how do you, like with what Jay talked about and everything you teach on, how do you help people? Like, do you have a certain process, or do you have a formula on how you help people detach from some of this obsession? I don't know, right?
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes it
Exactly.
turns into that.
Yeah. People call it compulsive use, problematic use, and addiction. But yeah, what matters is if it's a problem to you, then yeah, you want to get rid of. You need to solve it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I always introduce a 6-step formula. So step 1 is self-awareness. So I tell people, you want to become aware of how much you use your screen. So there are apps that you can use that will tell you how much you use your phone and how much you use your apps. Also, you want to become mindful about the way you feel and the thoughts that you're having, the needs you want to fulfill when you go for your phone or when you're using your phone. And then you also want to understand how exactly is it having a negative impact, that phone use, that excessive social media and phone use. Because there's this voice that will tell you, look, everyone is doing it. Everyone is using their phone. So I don't even why you're trying to reduce it, because everyone is doing it. That's why I sometimes say it's like smoking in the 50s.
Right. Everybody was doing it.
A lot of people probably thought, well, this cannot be so good for our health. But yeah, well, everyone is doing it. So,
Which was funny you said that. Hold your thought. We were walking the dog yesterday, and this guy stops us. He's like, yo, do you have a cigarette? And I'm like, nah, we don't smoke. And he's like, I don't blame you. And I'm like, but you're asking for cigarettes. It was like one of the weirdest things. It's like one of the weirdest things.
Exactly. Unbelievable, right? So they know. Like, often we know better, but we don't do better, right?
Yeah, so true.
It's unbelievable. So you see, that's why I tell them, write down how it's impacting your life, your relationships, your future, your career, your studies. And then imagine a life where you are in control of your phone. How does that look like? How is your phone now being used by your future self? How do you use social media in the future? So envision how your relationships look like, how you do want for your life to look like, and your future and your career and study. So you have to understand where you are now, your current position, and then understand where you want to go and use that as motivation. And that's why it's important to kind of start to become aware of why you go for your phone so much. What is triggering you? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? And how many hours you spent on social media and your phone, because then you can also see if you're improving. So that's step one, self-awareness. And then step two is insight. So insight is all about understanding the detrimental effects of excessive phone use and social media use and why we use social media so much. And there's a lot of research that has to be conducted still. I mean, we don't know the long-term effects. Smartphones only exist since 2007 or in 2020. So we don't know anything yet. We have no idea what the long-term effects will be. But we do already notice a few effects happening. We already know that there are detrimental effects. For example, there's the digital dementia effect, or the Google effect, as it's called, that we outsource our brain. So we like to outsource our brain to technology because now it's easy to find something, to know something. You know, we can ask someone or we can Google. We don't really try to figure things out. We don't really try to be creative, to contemplate, to reflect, because we always have our phone now that we can use to find answers. So it's like if I use a robot arm that will be placed on my left arm, I will be very strong and I will say technology is terrific, yes. But when you take it away, it's going to be weaker than it is now,
right?
Because I'm not training the left arm. So that's why you want to train your brain. You have to be careful that you're not just going to use your phone so much just because you want to know something or you need to calculate or remember. We don't know how to calculate anymore. We don't even remember phone numbers anymore.
That's so true.
It's because we just outsource. And also we become good at being distracted. We are constantly all over the place. And our brains are fantastic. But it doesn't really tell you, hey, you know what? Maybe that's not a good idea.
Right.
You know, we have to take care of things that we can see, like our skin, our hair, but we often forget about our brain. And we should really take care of that because when we do something a lot, our brain will be like, you know what? Okay, that's fine. I will make you get better. Neurons fire together, wire together. Like the brain is going to ensure that it's going to get easier, that thing that you're doing. If you're complaining a lot, you're going to get better at that. If you're reading a lot, you're going to get better at that. So you want to be mindful that you're not going to train yourself to distract yourself so easily that you're all over the place, because then it's going to be hard to focus. It is already hard to focus. When you read blogs, can you really read a blog from A to Z? There's so many call to actions. There are images, flashy images. There are links to other articles. There are other tabs open in your browser. It's hard to just focus. It's very different than a book, for example. When you read a book, maybe a dog barking outside is that distraction. But, you know, in the online world, virtual world, it's hard to focus on just that one thing. So the insights is all about understanding those effects, like that you become more lonely, more depressed. Also, why we use social media so much. Like social media is creating this world that you think is the world for everyone, but it's not. It's just a very sophisticated world created for you based on your behavior online, based on your clicks. That's why Facebook and all, they know you better than your spouse know you, because your desires, you know, your interests, they're reflected by your behavior, by the way you click and by the way you see things online. And you don't even tell everyone, you know, not even your so it's dangerous. So that's why you want to use Facebook more, because somehow they know exactly what to show you, they need to show you, because they want to monetize your eyeballs, right? You're the product. You're not the customer. You're the product. They're like, you know, it's free. That's what they make you believe. It's free, but you pay with your time and your data. Let me not forget data. Most important thing as well, according for them, because that's what they sell. They sell that to the customer, which are the advertisers. So that's all step two, like insight. Another way of motivating yourself to detach a bit, to understand what's going on. Again, you don't want to die stupid, which connects to my motto. And then step three is digital citizenship. So step three is all about, we complain about our smartphones. Do we want to replace them with dumb phones? Do we want to replace them with flip phones or feature phones? Probably not. We still want to use our smartphones because in secret, we do love our smartphones because we can do so much with it.
Right.
So like digital citizenship is all about understanding your device, know how to use it, know the features, transform it into an ally. You don't make it treat you like it's a jealous boyfriend or girlfriend. There are ways to train the phone to leave you alone when necessary.
Right.
So understand those options, the privacy settings, the security settings, the do not disturb, the dark mode, know about all these features. And also social media. if you use those platforms, understand the options. You can unfollow people. There are privacy settings, security settings. There are close friends lists. You can create lists where you post only for specific people. So those platforms, and also digital citizenship is all about behaving in a proper way online. You leave digital footprint behind. So you want to become mindful about how you use the internet, what you post, what you say, because the internet remembers. So be aware of your internet etiquette. How do you behave online? Be careful with what you share. If you share photos, people can use the photo and search it in Google Image so they can find out where the photo was taken. Be careful with passwords. Don't share passwords. Don't use the same password. Be mindful about deep fakes, fake news. Understand how to read the URL, the content, the way it's written. When I say tech savvy, people panic, sometimes like, oh, tech savvy, why do I need to be tech savvy? But just be mindful about how you use the internet. Learn about the internet. So, and also about the device that you use.
When you talked about, being mindful of what it is that you say and how it leaves that digital footprint, I think that you could probably do a whole episode or a whole training class, especially right now, because so many people are, I think, more so sharing their opinions and their thoughts very unedited, because we are in a very different time right now. In a search for community, or in a search for that concrete, that certainty, which we really never have certainty, but that certainty that everybody's looking for, it's almost like it is ramped up. People sharing stuff that they don't normally share in a public forum like that.
It's kind of like there's no filter right now. Like no filter. And it's like, this is my opinion, deal with it. But like the crazy thing is like you're going for a job, and these companies have departments whose job is to search you out on the internet and to see what you said, to find your profile and be like, oh, well, this person supports XYZ, or they said, in your defense, yes, it was your opinion.
And yes, it was your own profile, but still.
Like you
said, it's that digital footprint.
Yeah, and that cyber etiquette.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And people are not really aware of that, especially when you're young. You don't really care. You share photos because you want to belong. Right. It's we don't really think about the future when we're young. We think we live 500 years.
Yeah.
But they do a lot of research. Now, organizations, and it's easier now to find information about you because we're so much online. There's so much data available now. So definitely very important, digital citizenship. So exactly like you said, there's a lot to say about that topic. And that's why it has its own step. So that's more about learning and becoming aware. And then step 4 is then digital habits. So now you're going to implement the boundaries. So now it's about, okay, I know the dangers. I know the options that exist on social media, phone. How are you going to set boundaries for yourself? How many hours do you want to use your phone? Like, are you going to use do not disturb mode? Are you going to disable the notifications? Are you going to use grayscale or not? Or do you prefer other strategies like 2-hour no tech or no tech Tuesday? I always say, don't go for like 1 week digital detox immediately. It's like, like someone's going to say, I'm going to the gym. This is the next week, Jay. It's like 4 times. And I never went, right? Probably not. I hope I really hope.
Don't do it to yourself.
There's so many similarities in everything you're saying that has to do with like tech and digital media. That's like the same thing with food and gym and working out and being healthy.
But yes, I agree. Like I'm 7-week detox, like off the digital detox.
7 week?
Excuse me, 7 day, 7 day, 1 week digital detox off the bat is super dangerous.
Right. And like, at least for me, whenever I like remove Facebook from my phone, my finger goes to the spot that it was on my phone so many times in the day. I'm like, oh, Facebook, it's not there. Oh, Facebook, it's not. It takes like 2 days to stop doing the like ghost finger. Nope, still don't have it.
Exactly.
Still not there.
But not anymore, right? After 2 days, it dissipates, right? After 2 days,
it goes down. Yeah. I mean, you still have that urge. I did.
Yeah.
I would say I'm probably a little more addicted. Ooh, sorry. A little more. I just poked Jay really hard. A little more addicted than Jay. when it comes to stuff. So, okay, so go ahead. Go back into the boundaries. That way we can, the analytical people listening are like, shit, come on. What's 5 and 6?
Yeah. Well, but so step 4 is also a big one because, that you can create like no phone zone where you don't use your phone. Specific areas become an area where you don't use your phone. But also don't forget to set up a lounge. I want to say that as well. Because a lot of people, when they enter a no phone zone, they're like, okay, well, where am I going to leave my phone? So if there's no dedicated space for your phones, then you always have to make that conscious decision, like, okay, where am I going to place it? And if you have to make that decision, and sometimes you're like, you know what, I just leave it in my pocket and just that's it. But have your phone zone, that phone lounge. When you relax, make your phone relax as well. You deserve some rest.
The phone deserves some rest. Let the phone rest.
Let the phone rest.
Making it work 24/7.
Meanwhile, Jay's going to be pulling up on Amazon some kind of a phone lounge. He's going to be like, we're going to put this up.
I've actually not been on Amazon for a while.
No, but I'm just saying, like, you're going to, wherever you go to look, Jay's going to immediately try to find a phone lounge that we can put. It's going to be cute. It's going to be hanging outside our...
Something cool to put the phone. I got it.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying I was addicted to Amazon.
No. I'm talking about we've been on a budget.
Which I'm not anymore.
Well, because we've been on a budget, so Jay had to reel in his like online shopping, which is not that crazy, but still, there is a little bit of an addiction to like packages arriving at your house.
There was an addiction to packages arriving at this house.
So anytime there's an opportunity to get something new, like we had some bowls that weren't working, and he was like, I got some in my cart. We're buying them. Yes. So that's why I was like, he's here in this phone lounge. He's going, oh my God. Yes. Anyway.
But that's a good gadget then. That's actually pretty good. That's a good gadget. It's for a good cause.
Yeah.
But in a different room.
Yo,
then you won't see it even often.
All my purchases are for good causes.
Hold up. All I gotta say right here, Johan, what you don't know is for some reason, Jay always has these things he wants to buy. And I'm like, the freaking like hammer that comes down on everything. And almost everybody, and now you're added to that group, always is like, but it's a good reason. Come on, Jenny, let him buy it. All my coworkers did that when he wanted a little fancy, expensive watch, and every single one of them was like, let him have it. So, all of you Team J, now Johan's on Team J for these buying habits.
No, you know what?
He's scratching his head like, wait, so...
Well, yeah, sorry. No, Jenny, what I meant is like phone lounge, like put it in a drawer. Put it in a drawer somewhere. Like you don't need any gadgets for that. Like underneath the bed.
Just have a place. Throw it on the couch before you walk into that room. Toss it behind you.
Nice safe.
Exactly. No need for Amazon. No.
Okay, so all right.
Phone lounges and no phone zones. I like that. I really like that.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
All right.
Yeah.
Analyticals are waiting.
Let them wait.
For step 5, 6, you mean, or about step 4?
No, however, more about step 4 or 5, 6, whatever.
Step 6. For step 4, what I like to do is triggers, counter triggers, because you're always triggered, or you're internally triggered, like because of a thought that you feel sad, you're like, let me go for your phone. Or external trigger, like you're watching a movie and then you see a character taking his phone and then you want to go for your phone as well. Or like a notification, like an external trigger. Mm-hmm. All these triggers all the time, internal, external, that make you go for your phone. So then I have a counter trigger. I use a wallpaper that says, go away, like don't touch me. Or you can do better than that. Or ugly phone case, for example. Like an eccentric phone case that every time you see it, you're like, why? Why do I have a phone case? Next second, you're like, oh yeah, I know why. Because I have to be mindful. I have to just understand I'm going for my phone. And that's what you want. It's fine if you go for your phone. But if you made that decision consciously, beautiful, perfect. And that's why you want to have these small counter triggers that make you think, okay, you know what? I'm not going for my phone. Or you know what? Yeah, I will go for my phone. Like moving apps to a 5th screen. People say about 3rd and 4th. I say, no, move it to the 5th, to the 6th screen. All these apps.
You got to work to get there.
Yeah, but there's a search bar. All you got to do is pull down and you search, and there it is. Hey Siri, open this. Oh, my Siri's trying to open something.
We're talking about the tech savvy people. What about everybody else?
I don't know. They're both, right? Because I mean, when you say 5th or 6th screen, I've got apps all over, but I don't look for them. I just pull down and type in the first couple letters because I'm not going to look for it.
You use the search. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's possible also to remove the recommended apps in the search. Your iPhone, right?
Oh, like the Siri suggestions? Because even if I'm looking
Exactly.
for Kajabi, I'm still going to like type it in.
Yeah, you're going to type it in, yeah.
I actually don't use the Siri suggestions. If I want an app, I'm direct. Like I've outsourced my brain to my phone to look for things.
There is something though, because I remember when I had to reset my phone and I tried the search thing and apps wouldn't pop up. I would like type in like Google and it would, like nothing. So I'm pretty sure there is something.
All right, I'll play.
In there that will make it more challenging for you to access those apps.
That just sounds annoying.
Yeah.
Because then you can't find what you want.
Well, no, that's the point. The point is not to make it annoying, but to make it a little bit more challenging for you to be addicted to the screen. Because if you know where the app is, like you said, the 5th or 6th screen, you know where this app is and you need to get to the app, you're going to scroll 5 or 6 screens to get to that app. But if you're just doing it, it's like, oh, I want to get on Facebook to get on Facebook, so I'm going to use the search bar, and you're no longer able to use the search bar and you have to scroll, you might mindfully say, well, I really don't need to get on Facebook that bad. It's not worth me scrolling 5 or 6 screens to get there.
Got it. So it's that conscious effort that if you do change that as far as the boundaries and habits, then the ones that are important for business or that you really need access to, you're going to put in a place you know where they're at.
Yes.
So you can be efficient.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then the rest of the like games and wasting and...
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
I get it now. I was initially resistant because I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. But it might not work for you, maybe, yeah. But you type. As long as the Siri suggestions is disabled in the today screen, I hope that you really want to remove that one. And then also the Siri app suggestions in the search. Yeah. So all these small actions, like Jay said, it will give you a few seconds to think about it. So are you really sure you want to type Facebook? That's a strategy if people don't want to remove their apps, which is fine. You can also offload apps. That's like a test, because when you offload an app, the app is still visible, but it's not installed. So you cloud image next to the name. So if you offload an app, you have now more space on your phone, but just by tapping it once, it's going to reinstall. But it's a nice test to see how long can you leave that app there without installing it again, without tapping it.
Ooh, a challenge.
Yeah. And 2, if you were in a case where I was, where your phone had no storage, it would just automatically offload apps.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting to see like the ones that were offloaded that I haven't touched in a while. It's like, why are these even on the phone anymore? So that happens too. But you probably won't see that unless your phone is like, I need more memory.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Or what about plugins? There's a Facebook plugin, but this is for a laptop, where you don't see the wall, where you don't see your newsfeed anymore. Ooh. Or there's a YouTube plugin also, distraction-free YouTube, where you don't see the homepage anymore. Because honestly, for me, if there's a problem still somewhere, it's YouTube. Like, it's not that I, like to watch people bathing in Nutella or, people make,
was that what they show over in Europe? Bathing in Nutella?
I think that, I don't know. Is that a European? It might, it might be.
Jim's going to totally search that now.
No, I don't want to see that.
So ridiculous. I love educational videos. I like motivational stuff, just, to purify my mind when I hear or seen a lot of nonsense. But sometimes I watch too much. But then with that plugin, you don't see recommended videos. You don't see the homepage, because the homepage is that's a tricky one.
Yeah.
If you see it's full of videos, and YouTube knows you.
And YouTube will recommend everything you have searched, even if you were just searching something like, how do I don't know, something stupid, like clean off my oven. You're going to start seeing videos about cleaning off your oven, and you're like, that one looks interesting.
Exactly.
And they suck you in.
That doesn't get me. I'm clear on YouTube.
Well,
I go direct to what I want, and I don't get distracted by the other side. It just so happens. Facebook and it's the other stuff. So anyway.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm definitely YouTube, because I'm like, I'll go look for a certain thing, and then it'll be like, oh, wait, look here. And I'm like, yes. And then 3 hours later, I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, exactly. Can you imagine that? Because these algorithms know, a large percentage of people, when they like this, they like that as well. So probably you too. And then, then they're right oftentimes. So, you want to be very mindful. So, like a plugin like that will work. So, you're not going to be distracted. YouTube doesn't stand a chance. So, you can use plugins as well. And there are also apps that can help you block apps and track like I said earlier, so you can see how long you use, and it will tell you, hey, you're now using X amount of hours this app or your phone. You should stop. So, or screen time in Apple, you probably know about it. They can enable downtime, you can put some app limits, and also Android has a version of it. It's called Digital Wellbeing, also very good. So but yeah, use tech to beat tech is not the end all be all solution. I will never say don't just use tech to solve this problem. That's why I have step 5 and 6, because it's helpful, but you don't want to just give away that type of control, that kind of solution that because apps will help me out. No, it's an eternal job. So that's why I have 5 and 6. And then step 5 then is like, because a lot of people, they focus on pushing the phone away and they still look at the phone. But with step 5 is embrace life. It's about finding something that pulls you away from your phone, that makes you say, hey, turn around, look at me. And then you place your energy and focus on that activity. And then you're going to do that activity like board games. Yeah. And that's just one of the zillion activities that you do indoors. So much you can do. So become curious, experiment, not just with yourself, but with friends and family. You know, you have probably fantastic activities that you can take on, like, gathering songs for your playlist together, or romantic songs, or learn how to dance. That's why YouTube can be good, right? Because YouTube has tutorials, how to cook, how to dance, and so how to train. There's so much you can do. So it's all about finding that activity, do something, embrace life, outdoors, go forest bathing if you're close to nature. Use your senses.
I love the outdoors, but I have not ever heard forest bathing. So what is forest bathing?
Yeah, forest bathing is that you're walking in the forest and you just use all your senses. So you focus on what you see, on what you hear, what you smell. So you use all your senses and you basically immerse yourself in that moment.
Love that.
And use nature to just calm you down, to make you serene again.
That's cool.
So you're actually very mindful. You don't do anything. You just walk and just be. And be one with nature, be one with the birds and the trees. So it's
we went. Well, I guess that wouldn't be forest.
We went water bathing. Wow.
Yeah, and
I don't know.
Mangrove
bathing.
We don't have a word for what we did yesterday.
We went kayaking. we did a tandem kayak.
We tried and died horribly.
We did like a 4 or 5 mile loop through mangroves, through mangrove tunnels, and out along the coast here in Florida. We did that yesterday, and that was really nice. We learned that we don't know how to paddle with a kayak because the guy was like, we were like dead when we got back. We were like, okay, so what's the technique? And he's like, yeah, just barely hit the water with your. And we were like digging it into the water, like.
And he's like, no.
He's like, no, just And we were like, it would have been nice to know ahead of time. Now that we came home, we were like wiped out.
So it didn't move at all.
We did move, just slowly.
Yeah, we moved, but there were like people around us who was like...
Dude, a 5-year-old went faster than us.
She was killing me.
Legit. 2 of us in a kayak, and the 5-year-old was like... Yeah. So
you see, it's that strength, this technique, right? This technique.
Yeah.
Apparently.
And which goes to show, too, like, you don't need a lot of power to move something through the water.
Exactly.
Yeah, we can't. Jen, do you have blisters on your hand?
I thought I was going to, but I had to start. Had we gone longer than I would have.
She was like gripping the oars, and we were like, my shoulders. This is a bicep workout.
My tech watch was like, are you swimming? Do you want to record this workout? And I was like, I'm not swimming. Yeah, we were working.
Your watch is smart. Wow. So
smartwatch.
Well, smartwatch. Yeah. But it's good. You do something that scares you, something unique.
Yeah.
Well done.
Definitely.
Clearly wasn't too smart. It thought you were swimming.
Well, I mean, if I would have had a paddling thing on there, then maybe it would have said, are you paddling? I don't know.
Do you fall easily in the water or not with kayaking?
If you shift too far left, you could tip over.
Or right. Not just left.
Left or right. Excuse me.
Far left, you fall over. Right, you're good.
I'm forgetting this is only audio, and I was moving. But if you shift right or left, you could tip over either way.
But the one we were in was pretty balanced. But we did one in Jamaica, and Jay made the smallest moves, and I was like, stop! And so I think it was a smaller one.
It was definitely a smaller one.
Yeah, I think it just depends on what it is. I mean, we're going to do stand-up paddleboarding probably next week. Or the week after, here within the next 2 weeks. We're going to do, because we got these sea squirts here. So apparently with Hurricane Laura that came through the Gulf that hit
Yeah.
Louisiana, Texas, right there. Of course, sending our love to all the people in that area who may have lost their homes or businesses. But as it came through the Gulf, I guess there's these like sea creatures that are on like the ocean floor that got swept up to shore. And now that they're out of water, they're rotting. And, you know, like anything rotting on the ocean just stinks, apparently. So there's thousands and thousands of these sea squirts, which are these whatever. I don't even know if they're animals. They're not animals. They're sea creatures. I don't know, like whatever. Anyways, but they're all on the shore here next to us. And so apparently it stinks. So we're avoiding the beach here in the very near future.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, so no one is going to the beach because of that now.
Well, I'm sure people are going.
People are still
it
going
just
to
stinks.
the beach.
Yeah.
It just stinks, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure, like, I don't know. Maybe it's a good question. I don't know how they solve it. Like, I guess maybe if it's a public beach, people pick them up and I don't know. Like, where do you throw them? I don't know. Where do you throw them away in the trash? I don't know. I don't know. It's a good question.
Have you been there? Have you seen it? How it looks
We
like?
have not seen it, seen pictures, and we heard it on the radio, and they were making all kinds of jokes, which is why Jay laughed immediately, because the jokes they made were very inappropriate about sea squirts, and so they just had this conversation that had like a double meaning. So
you
it
would
was
have to hear the conversation.
it was pretty funny. And apparently, like, there's these caterpillars in Florida that are called pusses. And so they had a whole conversation double meaning about that too. And so they've just got this ongoing. So when the sea squirts popped off, they were like, yo, we talking about these sea squirts in a very inappropriate way. But they kept it like scientific, but there was a very inappropriate yet so appropriate undertone to it that made it funny.
It was hilarious.
Yeah. Wow.
So-
Okay. So they got away with that.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Oh, for sure.
Oh
Yeah.
boy, did
It
they.
was hilarious.
Yes.
It was hilarious. So basically, all of that to say, we were embracing life.
Yes, exactly. You are exactly. That's embracing life right there. Exactly. Discovering such things. Yeah. You see?
That was definitely cool. And I left my phone in the car. So like
Very
I wasn't
good.
even tempted to, but I knew Jen took hers to take pictures and stuff, of course. But it was cool, like not having the phone there to want to, you know, oh look, my mom's calling, I'm out here, I can't talk to you right now, or to respond to a message, just to be there in the moment. Like that was cool.
Yeah. Good. And actually, that idea of the watch is also a good one because you're basically untangling your device. So you get yourself an alarm clock. You don't use the alarm on your phone. The watch, so you don't need to check your phone for the time. Get yourself a book, so you don't, read a book on your phone. Or music, get it somewhere else. Calculator, get it somewhere else. So that's basically a way to use specific features of your phone in the offline world. So actually just use a watch because not many people nowadays use a watch. I see a lot. They don't use it just because they have the phone.
Well, why do I need a watch when I have a clock on my phone?
Exactly. And then when you go for your watch, when you go for the phone to check the time, then you don't do it because there's so many other things you want to do suddenly that you forget.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't even know how to tell time with a regular watch right now anyway, unless it's digital. So
Exactly. Yeah, that's the question, right? Indeed.
Me and a friend went to New York in 05. We went to 05. We went to this place and like this girl asked my friend, she was like, yo, what time is it? And he like held his wrist out and she was like, what does that say? And he was just like, I can't.
That's pre-smartphone. Wow. So it's always been like that. Because you said 05 and he said 07 is when smartphones like really.
Oh, but still, people had, you know what I'm saying? There was
Digital watches.
some kind of digital something
watch
out there.
Yeah.
But I'm saying if that was 05, it's even worse now.
Oh, I'm sure. So, Johan, what's number 6?
Number 6. Last but not least, drum
Last
roll.
but not least, it's a big one. It's very connected to what you're doing, is embrace thyself. So embrace thyself is to work on yourself. So take on activities for you. It's all about you, me, myself, and I. So you work on yourself. You basically improve the story you tell yourself about yourself when you're by yourself. And a lot of times that's not what we do. That moment where we just reflect and do that introspection to get to know ourselves better. So because if we don't do that, we continue to compare online. And, when you compare, you despair. That's why it's called compare and despair. You compare your own life to other people's lives, to their highlight reels. That is only highlight reels, the positives. But still, you think, I'm lacking this and this. So the focus is all the time on the lack. Even I check the newsfeed, I'm like, I would also feel like, I don't have a family yet.
Right.
don't have kids yet. I don't have bed yet. So you feel sad and you want to feel better. So you use social media to feel better. So we post this carefully crafted photo. So we know, well, this is now representing my online persona in the best way possible. So it must gain likes or comments. And we want for other people to comment positively about us. So we outsource our ability to become happy to other people. We outsource our happiness. So we want for them to say good things about us. So we can be like, yeah, you see, true, I do look good. They're like, yeah, my hair indeed does look good. Or yeah, my day was fantastic. I am blessed. But the thing is, when you believe the good, you're going to believe the bad as well. So I don't say those things. Then suddenly from, oh yeah, I look good. You go like, I knew it. I'm not good, or I'm not smart. I'm not enough, or just something is wrong with me. I'm not talented, not skillful, not resourceful. So you really want to become your biggest fan. You don't want to outsource that part. We are our own biggest critic. We speak to ourselves in a way. We will never speak to someone else.
Right.
Not to a friend, but to ourselves, sometimes the way we speak to ourselves, like we hate ourselves.
Yeah.
But then we don't, but we want for other people to say good things about us. But we have to learn to become our biggest fan as well, aside our biggest critic. Because at the end of the day, you're never as good as they say you are. You're never as bad as they say you are. So you want to learn and understand that. And that's why you need that moment with yourself. So you don't need to use social media to feel good about yourself. And also learn how to become more mindful. Like Jenny with the urge to check Facebook. Okay, there's no Facebook there. To start to become mindful that you're actually doing it. You're programmed to do it because you're always checking that app. So the more mindful you become, the more you understand of, okay, yes, I now want to reach for that app. So now you have that space between trigger and response. So that freedom of choice right there. And then you can decide a different activity that you want to do. Or you can say, you know what, I don't want to go for the app or go for the phone. So that's why Embrace Thyself is really to focus on what do you want, your desired self. That is first step one. Like, how does that person look like and what needs to be done? And you want to learn how to keep promises to yourself. Like you said as well, small steps. Because if I tell you, Jenny, let's meet next week, and I don't show up, and then again I tell you, you know what, let's meet next week, I will show up this time, and I don't show up again, and I tell you, you know what, Jenny, sorry, but you know what, next week I will come. You'll be like, yeah, well, Johan, I don't really trust you because you didn't show up twice, and that's what we do to ourselves. So we say, yeah, I'm going to do this, and then we say like 4 times we go to the gym, or 1 week no screens. But then you fail to keep the promise to yourself. What happens is you feel bad about yourself. You'll be like, yeah, you see, I can't really do that. So you have to learn to keep the small promises to yourself, build momentum. That's why those small steps, it's about developing a habit. It's more about the habit. It's not about the intensity of the habit. It's not about, oh, yeah, you really need to stay away now for a long time. No, develop the habit itself. Like just half hour in an evening. Just don't touch it. Leave it.
That goes really strongly with something that we teach a lot is the 1% better. It's like if you can just be 1% better each day,
Yes.
right? Then it's not, like you said, like that all or nothing approach. And I love how synchronistic and how similar these are. But of course, it's the different stories and the different how-tos and the different words because it's 2 different pieces of our life. But the core principles that lead this change with the habits, with the small changes, with the like embracing yourself and embracing everything. I mean, there's so many things that you could apply this to, but we need help with the stories and we need help with the ideas and we need help with the model of possibility of how we can live a more fulfilling life with less screen time.
Right.
That's really what it is. It's like, how can you, we
Exactly.
probably are coming up on the hour, and not that we have to end it an hour, but I want to be mindful because we could talk for 2 hours or whatever. So there was one thing that was ringing in my head this whole time, right? As we were going through each one of the 6 steps is with Facebook or Instagram or the social media specifically, community. I think there's like 2 things. One, some people go to those outlets for community because that's where they're connecting with people. That's where they're messaging people. That's where they're going to their groups. But also, especially with the pandemic and with people choosing or having to stay at home depending on where they live in the world and what the rules are in their local city or country, looking for that community because it has been removed in the past months from our life. The communities are now all digital, whether it's on Skype or Zoom or whatever. How do you feel this all plays in, or how does someone still find that community? Because then it is that, oh, I want to go to Facebook. I want to go to that place to connect with my people. Where, like, how do you keep that balance or that counterbalance on that compulsion or that interest or that addiction to go plug into the community? But also, it's so needed right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Because of this pandemic, the whole question of how much to use your screens is not the number one question. The number one question is now, for what you use your screens? How, why, and what for? The intention. Now it's more about like, why do you use your screens so much and how you use your screen so much. So not anymore about how much. So even I am sometimes using my phone like 4 hours, but it's because I'm talking. For example, I use the audio function of WhatsApp as one of those strategies that I don't type all the time. I want to just be tapping that option, the audio option in WhatsApp. Then I move it up and then I don't need to touch the screen anymore. I can just be like talking and I can still look around and I can express myself. No emojis required. I can just express myself. And then the person will know, is he joking around? Is he happy? Is he sad? And that's what I do a lot. So instead of texting. So, but I still use my phone. It will show like, okay, Johan, you've used your phone now like X amount of minutes. So I use my phone a lot because I have long conversations and that's fine. So when people say, yeah, Johan, I'm using my, devices a lot, like, that's fine. It's absolutely fine. It's absolutely fine. It just like, how are you using it? Are you satisfied with the way you use it? Or do you use your phone in such a way that you're not happy? Like, are you still working too much on that online version? Because now we have this offline version, online version, and that's very tiring and it can be exhausting to work on both. And then unfortunately, many of us, we invest more in the online version. So the question is, are you now investing more in the online version still instead of the offline version? Or is that activity online that you're focusing so much on, is it helping the offline version? Is it helping you in the offline world? So it's completely fine to use your screens a lot. But I think, it's all about habits and routines still. Like, it's easy now to be on a phone so much, even when you watch a movie together. So even when there's collective screen time, which is fine, still make sure that that's an experience that if you do that with someone, that you immerse in that experience, that still leave your phone somewhere else. Don't just be with your screens all the time because they're everywhere and use them so much and you're watching a movie which involves a screen. No, still, even with collective screen time, leave your phone somewhere else. So still apply those rules. When you go to eat, don't have your phone next to you. Put it in the lounge. You go to sleep, put it in the lounge. So still have those rules and forgive yourself when you use it so much. Just, you got to be honest now. Like, how are you using your screens? And that's what you now want to figure out. You want to see, okay, I'm using it 5 hours. I've used it 5 hours today. What have I done in those 5 hours? Have I mindlessly was I scrolling, or was I actually engaging? Was it for work purposes, business purposes, branding purposes? Like, for what? And that's now what you want to figure out. Like, for what are you using your screens? But yeah, it's a fact. We all use it. Me too.
I just want to make sure I understand what you're saying. Throw this back. But like, for example, if you're out to dinner and you're like, ooh, let me get on the phone and do whatever in that moment, ask yourself, is what I'm doing right now on the phone, does it really matter that much for me to be on the phone like right now instead of being in the moment here at dinner with like whoever or whatever? Like, do I really need to look at this email, or do I really need to see who's posted on Facebook? Or can I just put it in the lounge without buying something cool on Amazon to take with you everywhere to put the phone in? But can I put it in the lounge and be fully present in this moment? And when it's time to go or whatever, take it out of the lounge and catch up on everything. Or just be caught up in the moment.
He said that for my benefit.
No, I was
no, for sure, because I can imagine us at PDQ. You're like, can you just put your phone down?
No,
like, what is so important?
But like,
I felt like that was for me.
It wasn't for you,
but it was,
because I was just thinking in the beginning of our relationship, she would be like, "Well, why are you always on your phone?" Yeah. And I had to ask myself, like, why am I always on my phone when we would go out for dinner? So this would be mainly for me. And it's like, okay, we're sitting here, we're trying to talk, but I'm playing like Mario Kart. Or I'm scrolling through Facebook, or like, and it came to the point, it's like, does this even matter right now? Like, why? And if it does, why does it matter? Like right now? Yeah. Like in this exact moment.
See, but one thing you've told me, not related to that, but in general, one thing you told me is like, and feel free to comment on this, Johan, is like, okay, now the phone, you talk about the distractions. Now the phone is the thing that you're doing that's keeping you occupied because whatever you were live in was not occupying enough.
True.
Like he says that sometimes he uses his phone because like whatever's going on isn't capturing his attention.
So I go to the phone.
Conversation, etc. And he goes to his phone.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm not going to say what I feel like you're going to say. You say what you're going to say, and then I'll let you know if it's what I thought. Because I don't want to put words in your mouth, right? Like,
yeah, I can relate. Sometimes even on the WhatsApp, you're talking and then you're just going through the app cycle, right? Then again, we open Facebook that you closed like 2 seconds ago.
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine that you want to escape sometimes, and that's fine because I think we all escape. Doesn't mean like we're escaping from huge suffering. Maybe we're just tired or we just want to chill. That's why it's okay to plan those moments of distraction. So especially now in this pandemic, I would say, instead of focusing on the habits and the routines, you also want to say, you know what, Jay, like, you know what, we're going to be mindlessly on our phone. That's it. 1 hour you have, do whatever you want on Facebook, Instagram, scroll, But then after that 1 hour, you don't. Then you'll be like, okay, now let's put it away so we can do A, B, and C.
Mm-hmm.
Be like a busy activity. You can just chill, but without the phone. Like, okay, no screens this time. But that's why you want to use your phone. But I think it's normal that you still escape. You want to go for your phone. That's why sometimes we play video games for half hour. It's fine. But plan those moments and set the timer. What you can do is set the timer for 30 minutes. Like, just only distraction. Doesn't matter what you want to do. Watch YouTube. And then when the timer goes off, then you stop it.
Yep.
I like that because it's not restrictive and it's still giving you freedom, even within that space to do whatever you want. And I think that alarm, that timer is like a trigger too. It's being like, okay. And then you can really say, well, I really wasn't doing anything anyway. So let me get back to like putting the phone down or whatever.
Exactly. You're not going to fill up the whole hour. Exactly. You'll be like, okay, well, 1 hour distraction. What am I going to do in 1 hour? For 1 hour? What am I going to do? So yeah, exactly. If it's just Facebook, I'm like, I don't need 1 hour of Facebook. So some of you are so mindful, like, yeah, wait, why would I spend so much time on Facebook when you accumulate all these small moments?
Yeah.
5 minutes there, 5 minutes there, 5 minutes, 10 minutes there. Then yeah, you see, so the whole point is escaping. So you're not really using the app. It's just like having something to do. That's why we all have time, but if we don't really know what to do with our time, we do what's easiest, which is to go for our phone. That's why you really want to be mindful about how you spend your time and plan these things. But then you don't want to be too strict. Just like, okay, and that's why you have those moments of, okay, now we can do whatever we want. That's fine. That's really fine.
I mean, this is such an important conversation, and there have been so many nuggets, so many takeaways, so many ahas. There has been so much. And I know that the Ohana for the Holistic Life Show is like, oh my God, this was such an amazing episode. I'm so excited because there's so many things that you could take from this. But I know that the people want to know, how do they connect with you? How do they find more about you? How do they take the next step? What is the next step, Johan? If someone wants to work with you.
So you can find me on social media at breakup.com. So I have a coaching program and also a Udemy course for iPhone users, which is all about step 3, how to use your phone mindfully and how to transform it into an ally. But if your listeners send me an email to Johan at socialmediabreakup.com, then I will send them a free link where they can join the course for free and they have access to the entire course.
Wow.
Sweet.
That's amazing. So spell your name for the people who don't know.
It's J for Jack, O for Oscar, H for Honey, A for Alpha, N for November at socialmediabreakup.com.
Perfect. I don't want people trying to send you a Johan with a Y and then they never get there.
Yeah.
They're free.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
I mean, it's totally in the title of this episode, but like someone's like literally got their phone in front of them and they're typing it in. I wanted to make sure they can totally find it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, no, you're right. Yeah, good point. Yeah. That's right away the why. Yeah, true. Yeah.
Right? They're like, why is he not responding? You need to get that email too, that auto
Yeah,
forwards.
just in case.
Yeah, exactly. Good one.
Cover all your bases.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure. I mean, we've covered everything. I took some notes.
She took a lot of notes.
I did. Well, because I wanted to make sure, because we covered so much that if I need to call back to it, I took notes for 2 purposes in case you were like, Jenny, what was step 2? Damn it, I don't know. So I wanted to be a good steward and a good podcast host to make sure I was like following what we were talking about, but also because it's good information.
You two don't need it. You two are mine.
Well, we are, but we still have our moments, right? Like, and and I'll tell you, some of my favorite moments were monetize your eyeballs, digital dementia, No Tech Tuesday,
I like No Tech Tuesday.
Purify Your Mind, and No Phone Zone. Those were my Johanisms.
Johanisms.
I really like No Tech Tuesday and the No Phone Zone. Like those definitely jumped out.
Yeah.
This will not be the last you hear of Johan. I'm pretty sure we'll find a way to collab more in the future.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mainly because he's so freaking cool.
Hell yeah.
Thank you. You too.
We like
really?
cool.
Maybe Johan can be a special guest in our Next Levolution program.
We'll talk details. That would work out perfectly. We would definitely. That would be amazing. Actually, oh man, I'm getting excited. All right.
Well, all right, guys.
I'm in. Yeah.
Until next time. Thanks for being a guest. Thanks for listening to the Holistic Life Show.
Mahalo.
Bye.
What up? Welcome to the Holistic Life Podcast, where we have a damn good time talking about wellness and creating your healthy lifestyle.
Holla! We are your hosts, Jenny and Jay Holla.
And we're excited to build our listening ohana beyond our Facebook Live shows as part of the
Say what?
Radio Network family.
So when you hear us talking to people who really aren't there, it's because some of these episodes are pulled from those Facebook Lives that we do. But the message still resonates. Enjoy the show!